Have you ever had one of those moments, those times, those seasons of your life where it seemed as if you just couldn't see God, where it seems as if God was not close? As a matter of fact, and those times when it almost seemed as if God was very far away. And we know better, but yet in the midst of those challenges, in the midst of those times, or even longer period of time, we can't help but wonder, where's God? And what in the world is he doing? Why is he allowing this to happen? Oh, and we know better, and yet many times when these things happen, we tend to make them worse, don't we? In the midst of those challenges, we immediately kick into high gear and think, okay, what do I need to do? What approach should I take? How should I go about handling this situation? And in the process, we seemingly continue to push God further and further away. And really, that's kind of the setting, that's kind of the thought process behind the whole National Youth Gathering, with the emphasis of real, present God. You see, God is indeed real, and he is really present in all of our lives, and he is actively working in each and every situation that comes our way. Kind of takes that battle cry of the Reformation, Psalm 46, where God is our refuge, God is our strength, God is our ever-present help in times of trouble, and brings it down where the rubber meets the road here today in 2019. And so in just a few moments, I'm going to be introducing Josh Gerken, our Director of Christian Education. He's going to share some thoughts and kind of set the stage as you will get to experience in a small way the youth gathering with video clips that are there, and each of the students before you sharing their story, the impact that this has had because of your support for them. And this is no small task. It's no small undertaking. Josh had several thick binders with material getting ready for this, and a lot of work that was behind the Easter breakfast fundraiser that was there, behind the musical that was done, behind all those sales that Josh was doing over the course of the past 3 years to get them ready for this. So at this point, I want to introduce Josh Gerken, our Director of Christian Education, who oftentimes does so much work behind the scenes. People wonder, what's he doing? Well, he's always busy going somewhere, doing something, preparing for the next task, and this was a big one with the youth gathering. So Josh, share some thoughts here with the group here today.
When we begin a youth gathering, it actually begins 2 years out. Right now, we know the next National Youth Gathering will be in Houston. The bus trip this time wasn't that bad, kids, right? 12 hours. Not too bad. Parents are laughing. Houston, who wants to guess how many hours? Josh? 30 hours. Who wants to join me and 55 at least kids in a bus for 30 hours? He does, yeah. That's why we keep it exceptionally cold on the bus, because it keeps the smell down low. Kids are like, it's freezing. I'm like, we don't want it warm in here. So it begins with the planning, the musical. A National Youth Gathering, believe it or not, actually costs around $1,000 to go per kid. Without your support financially, we're able to get it down to a manageable number to where families can afford that. And then even still, sometimes that manageable number is even harder, and so we're able to sponsor kids fully. And we thank you for that, because without that support, we would not be able to go. And what an amazing group we had with it. When we look at the theme, Real Present God, it truly speaks to today. How many times when we Google something or hear the news do we wonder if it's just fake? Fake news, all the time. When we look at the world today, we can't tell what's real, what's not. Kids today have filters and apps and everything where sometimes it's just designed to hide who they really are. But in God, we know that he is real, that he is present there for us as well. Because when those bad times and good times come, God is there in the midst of all of that. And that's so true for the kids and so true for us. The first video that we're going to do, Caely, Ressler, loves to call it the hype video. You going to play it before your basketball games? Maybe. It's a really great video. It's a play on Psalm 46. Josh Gaffney wanted to read the psalm like this, and I said, let's not do it, let's let the video do it. But what we are going to do is participate in that. So when you see it up there, it's going to have the words real, present, God. They'll come up on the screen. We would like you to say those words with us, because at the gathering, the first time they did this, no one really said a lot. And then after that, people just started singing and get louder and louder. And so as you listen to this, okay, kind of get into it. And then the words, he's going to come up there and he's going to say real, present, God, and say it with us. And say it nice and loud, because it's a way to interact. And that's what the gathering does. It interacts our faith. After the video, we're going to have Sydney Rohrs will come up here. Sydney's a great kid. She's from Patrick Henry, because we have youth from 5 different schools. So she's from Patrick Henry, and she's going to go up and share her experience with the gathering. So with that, let's watch the video.
God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear though the earth gives way, though the mountains be moved into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble at its swelling. Real, present God. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy habitation of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God will help her when morning dawns. Real, present God. The nations rage, the kingdoms totter. He utters his voice, the earth melts. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Real, present God. Come. Behold, the works of the Lord, how he has brought desolations on the earth. He makes war cease to the end of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the chariots with fire. Real, present God. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Real, present God. Real, present God. Real, present God.
I was very excited to have the opportunity to go on the National Youth Gathering trip. For a long time, I had been looking forward to going to Minneapolis and experiencing the city. Before we got to do that, there was a long bus ride in front of us. In fact, it was a total of 12 hours, but with a lot of friends and Netflix on my phone, it went by pretty fast. At the first mass event, I was blown away by how big the stadium was and by how many people kept flooding in. The theme of the National Youth Gathering that you just heard is from Psalm 46. Psalm 46 talks about how God is there for you no matter what happens in your life. God is our strength and refuge in our lives when bad things happen. I know that I can always turn to God, and in my moments of need, God is there. The National Youth Gathering reminded me of that so many times, and I am so thankful for that. It is hard to pinpoint one all-time favorite moment of the National Youth Gathering, so here are some of my top moments in no particular order. The first is when Josh almost wiped out when the bus braked hard and Jordan Blue caught him before disaster struck. That happened on the way back from the Mall of America, which was also a super fun time. During the day, we went to speakers, and my favorite was Dr. Micah Parker, who talked about trusting in the Lord. I also love the mass gatherings. It was amazing to be in a stadium of 21,000 people and to all be singing at the same time. Another top moment was the last day when we had mass worship. It was just an incredible experience to worship and take communion with so many people. I am so thankful I was able to go to the National Youth Gathering and for your support that helped all of us attend. I would strongly recommend to any of the youth members of the congregation to attend a gathering because it will make a difference in your lives just as it did and still does in mine. Thank you.
Good job.
So Sydney mentioned it. I was standing on the bus. You're not supposed to stand in the aisle. And we had to brake exceptionally hard. And I started going backwards. And literally Jordan Blue grabbed my arm or I would have hurt very bad. I was scared too. He definitely saved. So we have those moments like that we can look back upon. One of the other themes of the gathering it kind of really highlighted was how God is so strong and he is our creator. And how great it is when this week Florence Steelman, one of our members, came in. She was sharing her trip to Alaska. And she was showing us the pictures she had on her phone and her iPad and how beautiful it is. The mountains with the river so clear you can't really tell which way's up. And how beautiful it is. And it's easy for us to see that God created all of that. That God created the sunset. I see a lot of sunset pictures on Instagram and stuff and how pretty it is. To realize that God created everything. And this next video that we're going to show is going to highlight how God created everything. But pay attention. There's going to be a twist to that. After the video, Carter Niekamp. Carter's been to 2 national youth gatherings, correct? Sometimes, depending on how your age goes, you can go to 2 national youth gatherings and everything. Carter, he's just a great kid, just really, really great kid. And so he's going to share his experience with the gathering. But pay attention to the video.
Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. God spoke into the void, and the earth, sun, and universe was created. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. God shaped the mountains of the earth, the tallest peak standing majestic against the sky. The snow-covered tips reaching toward the ether are a monument to your power. We gaze in wonder at their heights. Your majesty pronounced by your power. The God who created the mountains also created Carl.
Oh, hello. Woo! That's bright. I gotta fix my contact. Is that my cue? What's my line? Hey, I'm Carl.
God filled the depths of the earth with oceans. Oceans so deep that humans have not seen all the wonders that they hold. The sea swirls with fantastic creatures of awe and fear. From schools of fish crossing the depths to the ferocious power of the great white shark, we see your hand in it all. The God who created these oceans also created Carl.
I came in 4th in my fantasy football league this year. There were 4 teams.
I want to start by saying thank you to all of St. Paul's members for supporting the youth program so we are able to go to the National Youth Gathering. I've been able to go to 2 national youth gatherings, and at both of them my mom was a chaperone. So if I go a 3rd, Mom, you are not going. The video you just saw was one of my favorite ones because I never expected Carl to just pop up. A couple people, including my mom, kept saying that they should have said Carter, not Carl. I never really thought about myself and that awesome world as being the same creation. God created me exactly how I am supposed to be, and I know that even more now. I am not perfect. Instead, I am one of God's creations, which is even better. Since this was my second National Youth Gathering, I knew a lot of the schedule, and I was so ready to get there. The mass events were one of my favorite part of the gathering, even though it had only been 3 years since the last one. I had forgotten how amazing it was to be with 20 other Christians in one place. Even if we were not all at the convention center or at the stadium, we could see the purple backpacks and people from the gathering when we completely took over the city. Another different thing we did as at the National Youth Gathering was the 5K. I talked to one kid from another group, and he could not believe that all of us were doing this together to support Alyssa and her family. I told him our DC didn't give us a choice, and I was glad he didn't, because supporting each other and growing closer together is a big part of the National Youth Gathering. The speaker that had the most impact upon my life was the speaker over Fortnite and faith. He talked about how if there's unjust, then protest. And he was talking about how he was protesting Cancer Alley in Louisiana, and he was protesting the state of Louisiana for putting a big chemical hazard waste place right next to a school and church. And that really affected me because it talked about how they can put something in your life that you never knew you could talk about in there. I want to thank my family for letting me go to the National Youth Gathering, and thank you all for your support and giving us and your gifts to allow us to go to these events that changed our lives. Thank you.
I couldn't find this photo, but throughout the week, Carter had his hair in like little ponytails throughout the whole thing. So maybe that's why he was Carl, just a little bit. But thank you, Carter. Having attended multiple National Youth Gatherings, the mass events are always a highlight for everyone. St. Paul's a large church. When you are in a stadium filled with everyone, how amazing it is. And I couldn't imagine being in charge of that event, picking the speakers who get to share that. The speaker that we're going to feature next on the screen was one, probably the best that I've heard in almost all the gatherings that I've been to. His story was one that surprised us. His story was one that shocked us, and it left a meaningful impact upon all of us. And I'm not going to give away too much, but after that, Caely is going to get up there, share a little bit about her experience with the gathering and about that speaker as well.
But I will not face them alone. And you don't have to face them alone. Whether it's joy, happiness, fear, anxiety, depression, God is with us through the ups and the downs. God is with us whether you're on top of the world, or in my case, literally just got shot. We don't face it alone. Jesus died on the cross so we don't have to be alone. That's right. So as I go on, I'm going to celebrate those blessings. And when those difficulties come, which they undoubtedly will for me and for all of you, I encourage you to do what I will do. And I will keep Psalm 46 in the forefront of my mind. He is your refuge and strength. He always has been, and he always will be.
I want to start off by thanking all the members of St. Paul and my family for supporting me and allowing me to go to the National Youth Gathering. Josh would tell us all the time in youth group that the National Youth Gathering is an amazing event that you should definitely go to. I was never hesitant about going because I knew it was going to be a lot of fun. I just did not realize that Josh would be both right and wrong. He was right in that everyone should go to a National Youth Gathering. I'm already planning on going to the next one. He was wrong in that it was beyond amazing. It was life-changing. Life-changing not only for myself, but life-changing for a lot of my friends who went as well, life-changing for our adult chaperones, life-changing for the new friends that we made from different states like Nebraska and California, and life-changing for the people we met and shared God's love with in the city of Minneapolis. Each day, we went to the Minneapolis Convention Center, where we could go to the Interactive Center for activities, play games, see booths about ministries in the church, learn about the Lutheran colleges, learn about the Lutheran Church as a whole, and my personal favorite, get lots of free stuff. Also at the Convention Center, we could choose speakers to go listen to. Josh made top 10 lists for each of us, and one of my favorite speakers from that list was Dr. Micah Parker. Dr. Parker is a Division I athletic director and was a former college girls basketball coach, so I knew I definitely wanted to go hear him speak. Josh encouraged us to go to speakers that interested us, but still challenged us and pushed us outside our comfort zone. Being an athlete myself and someone who's learning to trust God when making decisions regarding my future, I figured I should give this speaker a try. Dr. Parker's message was on trust. He shared how he lost his wife early in his life and how he was able to get through that because he trusted in God. Dr. Parker's message about learning to trust in God above all things, because you're not alone, continues to be in my thoughts and guide my decisions every day. We ended each night with the mass events at the Minnesota Vikings Stadium, which was pretty cool. It's not as great as Yankee Stadium, though, right, Pastor Marcis? He knew that was coming. Go Yankees. Anyway, the mass events were really moving. To see 21,000 people from across the world worshiping around you and with you, there's no other way I can describe it than just plain crazy and awesome. The mass events really helped put into perspective how powerful and real our God is. It really reassured me that I'm not alone in my faith. There are millions of Christians just like me with the same struggles as me, but also worshiping the same real, present God as me. At the mass events, we heard speakers like Jason Seaman, who you just saw in the video. His story was one that really moved many people, including me. He began as a 5-star Division I football prospect before an unexpected injury derailed his plans. Yet through it all, he knew that God was in control. After overcoming the injury and overcoming the odds, he went on to fulfill his dream of playing college football. After college, he became a science teacher. One day, a student came in with a gun, and Mr. Seaman leapt into action as he protected his students. After being shot multiple times while defending his students, he again overcame the odds and survived. What really touched me was when he shared how even in his doubts and tough times of recovery, he trusted God above all things. I remember having the chills, how focused everyone was on his message, and how quiet it was in the stadium as he shared his story. If Jason in the toughest moments of his life can feel and know God is real and present, then I too can depend upon God. We all can depend upon God in those moments. I never really expected to hear a story like that in person, but I know I'll remember it for the rest of my life. Thank you again to our St. Paul congregation for supporting us, praying for us, and just talking to us throughout this entire experience. It truly was a life-changing and faith-strengthening experience that will impact the rest of my life. To my parents and to all the parents, thank you for everything, including sending us on this trip and just dealing with us as teenagers every day. Also, Josh Gherkin deserves more thanks than we can give for guiding us not only through this gathering, but every day of our lives. I cannot wait for the next National Youth Gathering in Houston. My brother will even get to go. I don't know how I feel about that one yet, but I know it'll be another life-changing event for anyone who goes. I know I could probably talk for hours on end about all the amazing things that happened at the gathering. Don't worry, I'm not going to, but it was just that awesome. I just want to say thank you again to everyone who made this experience possible. Thank you.
That was just a snapshot of all that took place over that week this past summer in Minneapolis. What a great reminder for all of us that God's Word is timeless, that it's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And that Psalm 46 is just as relevant for the youth of today as it was hundreds of years ago, and will continue to be relevant for all of us here as well. Again, thank you so much for the support that you have given to make this happen. It's no small task when you're talking 65 people going to the gathering to accomplish that task. You can see that this has been a life-changing event for them. But the hope is that this is not just one event among many others in life that you look back, but this is an event that will continue to sustain them on into the future as well. So as you go after the service is over, make sure you talk with them, hear their story, reflect on what they have to say. As they said, it was indeed a life-challenging event for them and for all the adults who went as well. And again, I just want to take a moment and say a special thank you to Josh Gherkin. This is no small task to accomplish this. It's a ton of planning. And for him to go the extra mile, where for each of the individuals who went, he put that top 10 list together as far as items that they may want to go speakers they want to go listen to, events that they want to experience and see. So again, that shows the special care that he has for each of the youth that are there. Works tirelessly throughout the week, only to wrap the week up by going to have a junior high event on Sunday evening, followed by a senior high event when most people are at home collapsing from all that had happened. He just continues to work and get that done because he cares that much about each of the students that are here. I'm thankful that he is a coworker of mine. He is my right arm, as I say, whenever I need anything. He's always there first in line to offer that help and support in the ministry on your behalf. So I think it's fitting and appropriate that we all together say a special thanks to Josh with a nice round of applause. With that being said, I'll probably pay for that next week, as he won't talk to me because he doesn't like to have that kind of recognition, but he deserves every bit of that. Thank you for your support. Keep that in mind as we start looking ahead to Houston and beyond to support these kids, because this is something that has an impact on each of them and will for the rest of their lives. May the Lord continue to bless each of you as we hold on to the powerful words of Psalm 46, as we are reminded that He is indeed our real present God, that He is indeed our refuge and strength, our ever-present help in times of trouble. And now may the peace of God, which far surpasses all understanding, keep your hearts and minds in true faith to life everlasting. Amen.